Today's guest is Nevine Coutry, British Egyptian single mom and second time founder with over 15 years experience in marketing. She is the founder and CEO of the UK first dating app for single parents, Playdate, which she founded during lockdown out of personal need of struggling to meet like-minded single parents looking for meaningful relationships. So before I go any further, I'll get Naveen to introduce herself.
Hi, Faith. Thank you for having me, and thank you for that nice introduction. My name is Nevine. I'm a single mom, second-time founder. I really became a single mom out of after a very difficult relationship. It was a very difficult decision to make, but obviously it was for the best, for the well-being for myself and my son. Became a single mom in 2016 when my son was 3 years old. And since then, found it very difficult to really meet people or have any kind of social life. As you mentioned, I'm Egyptian, born and bred, but also a British citizen. So that means that I don't really have any family or support here in the UK. So it's really, really difficult to, go out or meet friends or have any kind of social life as a single parent when you're doing so much and have zero support. So it's been really quite a struggle. And Playdate was really born out of my frustration of finding it so difficult to meet people in the same situation as me that are also looking for, their next life partner or for a meaningful relationship. So that's really why I created Playdate.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Just wanted to ask, so you are African? Would you say
North
you
African, yeah,
British?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know in our in that culture, in our culture, when people decide to separate, that actually is quite a big it's quite a big deal, isn't it? And how did you find it? Was that quite a
Yeah.
difficult
Yeah,
time?
it was very difficult, and it's actually something that, from in our culture, and in my family, is really frowned upon. Like, you don't give up on a relationship. You have to,
Yeah.
and it's almost because there's such a difference in the roles of the man and a woman in a relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so much on the woman to kind of make the man happy in the relationship. So I remember when I was going through my divorce, I was telling my mother about the troubles I was having, and she said, well, you must have done something wrong then. Like, you didn't keep your man happy. And it was like, oh my God, I can't believe this way of thinking. Like,
Yes.
so I think it was a very difficult decision to make, especially when you come from a culture where that's very much a taboo thing to do. And being a divorced woman in a culture or a country like where I'm from is really like frowned upon, and you're not seen. Like in the UK, I find that people really embrace single parents. Like they celebrate them, and they're very like encouraging and supportive. Whereas back home, it's like, oh, she's like, used goods. She's no good because she
Yes.
must have failed. She failed at something. She failed at keeping a marriage, and it's really such a very negative, kind of toxic environment to be in. So yeah, it wasn't an easy thing to do at all, because I really went against the grains of society, of my society and culture.
Yes, it's similar in Nigeria as well, and a lot of people feel shame when they
Yeah,
divorce or when they separate, and it shouldn't be like that because sometimes people do grow apart in
yeah.
relationships. So, with regards to the your dating app, when was the light bulb moment when you just thought to yourself, you had this idea?
So prior to Playdate, as I mentioned, I'm a second time founder. So I had another business that was very successful, and it was a marketing agency, basically focused on tourism and travel clients. The business was doing very well, and as I became a single mom, I was very busy with my work, so I really didn't have time to go dating. But my friends, after a year after divorce, they're like, "Come on, you need to put yourself back out there, download the apps, go dating, meet people." So I started to do that, and I just hated it. I found it such a miserable experience. All of the mainstream dating apps, they're mainly people that don't have children.
Yeah.
And then I have to go on a date, I have to book a babysitter, so I have to pay money. and then I have to go on the date, and then sometimes they don't show up, or they cancel last minute, or you have to sometimes pay for half of the meal. So, and then they don't call me back because I have too much baggage, or like it's too messy. There's a child, there's an ex-partner, especially if they don't have kids, and I completely understand that. It becomes too much for them to take on, and they kind of don't like that, so they end up ghosting you. So that at that moment, when my other business was doing well, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if there was something out there just for single parents where everyone's in the same shoes, and you don't have to worry about, how they will react to you having children or an ex-partner. But I kind of threw it into the universe then and
Yeah.
didn't do anything about it, because I had my other business.
Yeah.
But the real light bulb moment for me was when COVID hit, the pandemic hit, and I lost my business overnight, that first
Gosh.
business. And I found myself without income, without a job for that whole year of lockdown, stuck at home with my son and finding it really hard. Loneliness really started to kick in. And
Yeah.
I felt like, oh my God, like this is terrible. And there's no one I can talk to that understands what I'm going through. And
Mhm.
that was kind of the moment for me, because I thought, wow, well, maybe now is the time to create a platform where single parents can meet and talk to each other and talk to people with a shared experience. So I think it was the silver lining of me losing that first business and me
Yes.
being in this very difficult situation during lockdown, that moment came to me, and I thought, okay, I've got time on my hands. Let me create a dating app just for single parents, and I think it was a bad situation turned into a positive one, because it was like I hit a rock bottom moment financially and also emotionally, but it helped me spark this idea of creating Playdate. So I think the pandemic and lockdown was really the moment for me.
Mm. And what was it like for you during lockdown, being a single parent?
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you, Faith, it was probably one of the hardest times of my life after my divorce, I would say. Yeah, it was very difficult because I was completely on my own. I couldn't travel because there was a travel ban. Stuck in a small flat with my son in London, homeschooling. So my son was 7 or 8, so I had to be a teacher full time. Also, not knowing how I was going to pay the bills end of the month because I lost my business overnight. Did not have furlough, was not allowed any of the grants because I didn't make enough, money that year in the business to be able to get any kind of grants. Because essentially I was a freelancer. So it
Yes.
was really difficult to navigate that period. And to make it even worse, during that year of lockdown, I got bank scammed. So I was living off my savings. Yeah.
Oh
And,
gosh.
and, and it completely wiped me out. They wiped me out of every penny I had. So I was literally left with nothing. And at that moment, I could have easily given up and packed up and went back home to Egypt, to be with my family. But
Mm.
something inside me told me, you have to put all your energy into creating Playdate, because I truly believed it could be something. So I just channeled my energy into creating Playdate. But yeah, it was a very, very difficult time. Very, very
Yeah.
difficult time.
So what was I know you mentioned some of the challenges you faced, but trying to having those challenges and also raising a child, trying to create this, how was that during that process of lockdown?
Oh my, I think I was
What
probably
type
the
of
worst
things were you
parent.
doing? Give me a typical day of what you were doing.
Oh my God. Well, waking up, getting my son to get onto his Zoom lessons, and basically being a teacher all day to my
Yeah.
son, while also trying to navigate building this app with Playdate. But I would have to say I was probably the worst parent during this year of lockdown, because, mothers we're not built to be teachers. I mean, I have so much respect now for teachers. I found myself being very impatient because you're also stressed. You're stressed because you're not working. You're stressed because you're stuck at home. It's
Yes.
just me and my son, who was 7 at the time. So he loved it. I mean, reflecting back on lockdown, he misses lockdown. He actually had such an amazing time because he could, he wasn't at school. He could be, taking breaks, playing with his toys. And I think he got so comfortable being at home and really enjoyed lockdown, because we had to get creative with like arts and crafts at home, making things together. And I think in hindsight, we spent so much quality time together. I think it got me much closer to my son.
Of
Whereas
course. Yeah.
before I was traveling all the time and working all the time. So I think it was a blessing in disguise because it just got us so much closer together, and we actually do things together. But I lost my patience a lot. Like I was very irritable. I was, there were moments where we would finish one of his school lessons, and I would get so frustrated because he just wouldn't understand how to do things, and it was just very, yeah, it was a difficult time for sure. And as with any roommates or a married couple who are stuck at home together 24/7, it's bound to cause a bit of friction because I think distance is good. And they say that in lockdown, either people were either getting divorced or they were making babies. So
Yes,
it was
yes.
one of the two. So it's either you either make it through if you make it through lockdown, then you've got a strong relationship. Um, so yeah, it was definitely a blessing in disguise, but a very difficult time to navigate. Like you're not really thinking about raising your children; you're thinking about how am I going to
Of course.
survive through COVID. And we both got COVID like 3 times, my son and I. Like we got sick quite a lot. So but he loved it. I don't know why he actually misses lockdown, and I think they really liked. I think the kids liked not being at school and not having to wear their uniform and all of that.
Of
So
course.
it was. I think it was fun for the children, but I think for the adults it was quite a difficult time, especially if you don't have security with a job that can
Of
pay you
course. Yes.
furlough and so.
Yeah, it was a worrying time for a lot of people because no one knew what the next step was.
No,
I think we're all just left in a limbo because we're just waiting for news every day to see when we would come out of lockdown. And
exactly.
when you were doing your research, so what was that like during lockdown? What type of things were you doing to try and
Mm.
find out that this would actually work, that there was a market for it?
Yeah, great question. So I basically the first kind of few months, I was really looking into the market, the dating market, seeing what was out there, seeing what kind of businesses are there, what kind of new dating apps are coming out, and you'd be astonished to know that there's 1,400 dating apps and websites available
Wow.
for every kind of person, for every type of niche, for Christian dating, Muslim dating, Jewish dating, dating for people with pets, dating for vegans, vegan
Yeah.
dating, dating for over 50s, like every kind of niche, but nothing for single parents. And I was really like astonished. So I'm like, okay, let's look at the single parent market. And then I realized in the UK alone, there's 3 million single parents. In the US, 22 million single parents. And globally, 320 million single parents. I'm like, okay, something is like wrong here. This is such an opportunity because this is a demographic. And also, it's worth mentioning that there's nearly a 45% divorce rate in the main markets. And more than half of people getting divorced have children, 16 or younger. So, it's clearly there's a market there that's completely untapped. And I thought, oh my God, I think I'm onto something. And there was nothing available. There's one charity for single parents, and there was another app for single parents for like moms to meet with the kids and go on play dates. But there was nothing for dating, for relationships. So I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I think I'm onto something here. The name came to me very quickly.
I was just going to
Um,
ask you, how did you come
yeah,
to Playdate? Because it's brilliant.
thank you so much. Yeah, so firstly, because I used to marketing is my kind of expertise. So I've worked, over 15 years as a marketing manager, marketing director, and then set up my own marketing agency. So I love marketing, branding, copywriting. So I'm very much kind of switched on when it comes to those things. And as a single parent myself, the name just came to me because I was thinking of a word that parents can relate to, something that all parents can relate to,
Yes.
but then a play on the words. So a play date is what we refer to when you speak about the children,
Yeah.
but this is an adult play date. So even our slogan is, who said play dates were only for kids? And I thought it was perfect because it has the word date in it. And it's a word that all parents can connect to. Um, so yeah, I was very happy to come up with that. But of course, because it's a generic word, it
Mhm.
was when I was looking for like a website, a domain name, Playdate was already taken. So it was very difficult to find a domain that could go with the app. But we managed to. And one of the very first things that I did, which cost me money, but I thought it was very important, is that we trademarked the name.
I was
because I
just going
think
to
that's,
ask you. Yeah.
yeah, we trademarked it because I think that's one of our biggest assets, is actually the name of the app. And I'll tell you later, I'm sure you're going to ask me this question, but now, after a few years, we're seeing other dating apps for single parents. So I created a market that didn't exist, and now people have, which is amazing. I think that's because the
Yeah.
more the merrier. And it
Brilliant.
only shows that there's demand, right? So there's now three other dating apps for single parents as well,
But you the
but
first
none of,
one.
but I'm the first, and I believe I'm the only one with a strong brand name that's
Yes.
actually relevant to this, to single parents.
Yeah, because I mean, I went into your app to have a look at it. There are also other services that you actually provide within that, like
Yeah,
collaboration with other organizations. Do you want to elaborate on that?
thank you. Yeah, so I'd say it's one of our USPs really, is for me, one of the main challenges of dating as a single parent is childcare. So it
Mhm.
was very important for me to make dating accessible and hassle free for single parents, especially for those that don't have support or help, that they can get instant discounted childcare within a click of a button through Playdate. Because that's one of the hurdles. It's like, oh, I have to book a babysitter, or I don't have someone to look after the kids. I can't go on the date. So one of the first partnerships we did was with a company called Bubble, and Bubble is the UK's leading childcare and nanny app. So I went to them. I said, "Listen, I'm working on this app. We didn't even launch yet." And I said, "Listen, it's a single parent dating app. I really want to offer our users a childcare solution, and you're the best in the country." And they loved it. And they said, "Yes, of course, we'd be happy to give your users a discount." So through Playdate, so once, let's say you're chatting with someone, you like each other, you arrange a date, and then if you're struggling with childcare, through Playdate, you get a discount on your babysitter. So you can book it directly through Playdate, and you get discounted childcare instantly. It's like I know they often refer to Bubble as like the Uber for babysitting, because it's like instant vetted, verified childcare. So that was really important to me. And that's, I think, what makes us stand out from our competitors and in the market, is because it's a very thoughtful app, because it's so intentional for single parents, just to make dating, easy for them. Like,
Not easy.
if you don't have a babysitter, no problem. We've got you covered.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I might have already asked you this, but what gap did you see in the dating app world that you felt you could fill? I think you already mentioned that there wasn't really a lot of single parents apps out there.
Yeah, that's the gap. But also, even on the mainstream dating apps, I mean, you can say that you're a parent on these apps, and you can still go on dates and meet great people. But it's almost like single parents don't have much free time. Okay. And
Yeah,
they don't want to be wasting their time on dates that, go south very quickly. They have to, it's not just the money, but it's the planning and the logistics and being away from your children. It has to be worth your time. Even when I meet my friends, I can't just go on random dinners every night. There has to be a
planned.
special occasion, or it has to be pre-planned. And it's a shame to say that, because I used to be a very spontaneous person before children. But
Yeah,
you really have to think twice about how you spend your time. And especially, you're tired, we're overworked, we're juggling a lot of responsibilities. So when you have that social time, you want it to be worth it. So I just really wanted it to be, the gap was, yes, there was nothing out there for single parents, but there was nothing out there for single parents in a way where it's not time consuming and not stressful, because it's still stressful on the mainstream
yeah,
dating apps. Because you think about, should I mention I have kids or not? When do I tell them I have children? Should I put it on my profile? So Playdate is almost like a short list of people with the same experience as you. So you don't need to worry about sharing that part of your life. Actually, it's your greatest asset.
that's
Having
it.
children is something you should be proud of, because
Mhm.
everyone is in the same shoes. And it also makes connection. It also makes the possibility of making an authentic connection a lot higher. Because even if you don't find love, you can maybe make a friend, or
Friend,
maybe you
yeah.
realize that your children go to the same school, or you can exchange stories and parenting advice. So it's almost like a community. Because for me, like, I have amazing friends and support system, but if no one's been through what I've been through, it's very hard for them to understand the experience. So it's there's strength in a shared experience that really helps with fostering authentic connection.
Amazing. So what was the biggest hurdle you getting the app off the ground? Did you face any challenges at all or hurdles?
Well, yes. I mean, I have no technical background at all. I had no idea how to create an app. I'm not from this world. I'm not technical. I'm a marketeer. I'm very good with words and pictures, but I have no idea how to build an app. I don't know how to code. It was a very, very novel and very alien world for me. So it took me a lot to learn about app development and all of that. And obviously, I couldn't do it myself. So I think the biggest hurdle was understanding the technicalities. And even until today, it's one of the main challenges that I face is the technical part of app creation and app growth. Because it's not easy. So I mean, I wish I could have taken a coding course or something to really learn how to do it. So I think the hurdle is you have to depend on other people to do it,
Of
and
course.
because you don't have that technical background, you don't have any benchmarks of like what's good, what's not good, what's working, what's not working. You kind of have to trust third parties that have the expertise and know what they're doing to do it. So I think that was the biggest challenge for me. I think if I had the technical skills, I probably would have created a better first MVP, as they call it, or have created it quicker. But it took me some time. It took me the whole year of lockdown just to create the first version of the app. So I would say that was probably the biggest challenge, was knowing, how it all works, because it was completely new for me.
And how did you balance the demand of motherhood with launching a startup? Because I know you said this is your second time around, but what was it like with this app?
So because it was lockdown, it was almost like we were physically together all the time. So we were around each other. So it kind of made it easier in that sense. But there is no. I think anyone that tells you that there's balance is lying, because there is no balance.
There is
There is no balance. I think you're always putting too much into one side and not enough on the other. I think it's really hard. I think it's really hard for working parents, especially working single parents, to be able to be fully committed to one or the other, because you can't. So it's not a balance. It's a mix. It's this big chaotic mix of the two. But I think it's, in a way, I like that my son sees his mother taking a risk and building something from scratch, and I hope that he has pride in that as he grows. That he's proud to see his mother working and committed in that way. But yeah, it's always difficult. Even as they grow, they say it gets easier, but it doesn't get easier. And mom guilt is real. It's
yes.
you always feel guilty about not giving them enough, or not spending enough time. Um, but yeah, I think it's just every parent finds their own kind of balance.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of being your own boss helps a lot. So yes, there's so many risks and challenges, and it's an extremely highly stressful situation to start your own business and to build your own business. But then you have the flexibility of not reporting to someone, and the
Of course.
flexibility of not having to go into an office every day. So
Or
I can
taking
work in the
time off
evening
for.
or taking time off. So even on holiday, I take my laptop, I work a few hours. I can work in the evening when he's asleep.
Yes.
Um, Weekends, sometimes when he's with his dad, I can spend that time working. So it gives you flexibility, and I think it helps. It helps actually with you spending more time as a parent by running your own business, because you work on your own timeline. So and I think it works that way.
I was going to ask you this at the end, but I'll ask you now. How do you take time out when you want to relax?
Ooh, I'm very bad at this, and I need to do more of this. And I think my friends and my parents, if they're listening, they're like, she needs to take more time off. No, there were many points in actually this year and last year where I was feeling like I was getting burned out, like I
Yeah.
was working too much, and I was very stressed. And it started to manifest physically in my body and my skin. I was gaining weight, losing my hair, becoming like not sleeping well. And I think my body was telling me, like, you have to take a break. You need time out. And I think it's really important to rest because when we rest, it's the time when you can reflect and when you can actually become more creative in your thinking.
Of course, yes.
So I've decided to, since the beginning of this year, force myself into 1 hour each day at least for like self-care. So that whether that's doing some exercise or going for a walk or
Amazing.
something like that, I've committed to a monthly massage, which might be, but it's a nice way to relax. Because I'm very much about the physical touch as well. So that's my
Yeah.
love language. And
Yeah.
since I don't have that, and my son is at an age where he doesn't want to hug me or kiss me because it's not cool,
Yes.
and it's so cringe. So I've opted for a physical touch through massage, and it's actually very relaxing. So you have to take the conscious decision to take time out, even if it means an hour a day. Um, and holidays as much as possible. So over the summer, I went home for 3 weeks. I was working 1 hour each morning or 2 hours each morning, but then completely switched off the rest of the day. And I came back feeling so much better, honestly, and ready to take on, new tasks. And it gives you so much energy once you take time out,
Mm.
even if it's minimal time. So, but I was very bad at doing that up until kind of this year. I really wasn't taking any time out at all.
Yeah. Well, whilst we're on this topic, I don't actually have this written down, but whilst we're on this topic, what would you say to the single parents that are out there watching this? What would you say to them in terms of looking after themselves? And, you talked a little bit about having burnout almost. So what message would you say to them to any single parents out there?
I would say be selfish. I would say be selfish. I would say take care of yourself first and foremost, because they always say like put on your oxygen mask first before you put it on someone else. And I think we become better parents if we're in a good place. And that good place doesn't have to mean in a romantic relationship. That could just mean loving yourself and taking the time to do the things that give you joy. Um, and I think if I've learned anything through my journey as a single parent is that I'm my own best friend. Like, you're the only one that will stand up for yourself, like really be there for yourself. Because you can spiral into a black hole very, very quickly. So I would say be more selfish.
Okay, thank you for that. So, going back to the dating app, how has the response been since you launched Playdate? How has it been?
It's been amazing, I have to say. I mean, it's been now 2.5 years, 2023, when we properly launched. And yeah, that first year we didn't have any funding to do any marketing. So it grew organically to 10,000 users, just by word of mouth. And we had so many users write to us, this is amazing. Like the reviews were so good. And we had to iterate a lot in the app because to make it more inclusive. I realized there's a whole other segment of single parents that I hadn't accounted for, which are solo moms. I don't know if you're familiar. So there's a lot of women that come to a certain age, they don't have a partner, but they want to become mothers. So they do solo IVF. So they do IVF and have children on their own. And when
Yes.
you sign up to Playdate, you have to say whether you're separated, divorced, or widowed. But I didn't have anything for solo parents.
Amazing.
So yeah, a user got in touch and she's like, I would love to use the dating app, but I'm a solo mom and I'm none of the above. So we've been taking a lot of user feedback and iterating the app. So it's very inclusive. So, whether you're looking for same sex, different sex, transgender, like we're very inclusive in that sense. And we cater to all types of single parents, whether you're widowed, divorced, solo parents, or separated. But the feedback has been great, and we've had actually a couple of success stories.
I was just going to
That,
ask you about that. So tell us about
yeah,
the story.
yeah. But the problem with the UK market, especially, people are very private, and they don't want their stories shared because they're single parents. They don't want like their family to find out, or their ex partners to know about their new relationship, or their children, to know. So they're very private. So none of them were like allowed me to share their like details. But we've had a couple of people. So one woman, she has 3 children. She moved in. they met on Playdate, and she moved in with a guy who has two kids. So now they're a big family, big blended family with five children. So it's so lovely. And then we have another solo mom, the same woman that actually asked me to add solo parents, and she's been dating a very lovely man as well. So we have seen
Amazing.
some success stories, and we're seeing lots of matches on the app. And people are still on the app, so that means that we must be doing something right, because they're still engaging with it. And it's been just so amazing to see that, because I feel like single parents, unless you're a solo parent, you don't choose to become a single parent. You don't go into a relationship and have a child thinking you're going to separate or divorce. Nobody really wants that for themselves or their children, but things do fall apart, like you said, for many reasons. Whether something's gone wrong, or you distant, or the love goes away, and at the end you want to model a good relationship for your children, right? You want them to see love and respect in a relationship. So you have to be honest with yourself, and it's very hard though, once you've been through something like that, to put yourself back out there. So
Of
I'm
course.
I'm very proud of the single parents that have taken the plunge with Playdate and really put themselves out there again, after having gone through either losing a loved one to death, or going through a difficult divorce, because it's not easy. It's really not easy to. You kind of lose a bit of faith in relationships once you've been through a difficult one, and gone through something as traumatic as a divorce or a separation, because it is the second most. I think after losing a loved one, it's the second most traumatic experience, life experience that someone can go through. So for them to have the courage and bravery to give it a go again,
I mean,
that makes me really happy. Yeah.
yeah. I think you might have touched upon this, but do you feel Playdate is also helping to break down stigma on dating as a single parent?
For sure. And I think I started a movement because now there's these three other dating apps
Yes,
within
yes.
the same space. Yeah, for sure. There's so much shame and stigma around it. Um, and I'm really happy to have been part of that conversation. And like, I even started a podcast myself, similar
I was
to
going to ask
you.
you. Yeah, yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
ask you because I
Which
did
is,
listen to one episode. And how is that
yeah.
going?
Yeah. So it's called Confessions of a Single Parent.
Yes.
And the whole thing about, so people think that oh, life is so miserable, single parents are like these sad individuals. No, we want the same thing everybody wants. We want to find love, but we can be funny about it, and we can make jokes about our situation. So I it's a playful app. It's for a meaningful relationship, but it's supposed to almost like bring joy back in your life, and laugh and have laughter and joy in conversation. So Confessions of a Single Parent, and I don't know which episodes you listen to, but we have some amazing, funny, hilarious stories of single parents talking about their dating experiences, things that have gone wrong on a date, people that have moved on and remarried, or have a new partner, and have talk about how it is integrating children into a new partnership or into a blended family, how that works. There's so many nuances to the single parent experience, and so many different perspectives, and I really wanted to bring that to light again, to take away the shame and the stigma around single parent dating, and to really give people a voice to talk about their experiences, because not every relationship, not every experience is the same. um, I'm, for example, had a difficult divorce, but some people had very amicable divorces, and actually are very good friends with their ex-partners, which makes it very easy for them to support each other going forward. So I think there's a lot of topics around single parent dating that people don't really talk about or know. And I wanted to bring that to light with this podcast. And I always try to use my channels to bring some fun and laughter into the lives of single parents.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, what advice would you give to single parents who want to go back into the dating world, but are feeling, they're hesitating about it? What message would you say to them?
Ooh, I mean, that was difficult for me. I completely understand how daunting it is, and it must feel to put yourself back out there. But I would say, now that you've come out the other end of being a single parent, I think you know exactly what you want and what you don't want. So whatever kind of relationship you had previously to become a single parent, must have taught you a lot of lessons. So I think go into it headstrong because you're very clear on kind of the red flags, like what are your non-negotiables,
Mm.
and you go into that and you go into dating with that sense. Like there are a few things that are non-negotiables. There are things that you will not accept and things that you are really looking for. And also have confidence in knowing that you've survived on your own. You're completely fine on your own. So you don't need that other person. You want that other person in your life. So I think that it's daunting, but you can do it because especially with Playdate, there's no judgment and there's no shame and there's no stigma because we're all in the same boat, right? So take it like don't take it too seriously, and I would say go in looking for a connection. Don't go in looking for love. Look at it as you're connecting with someone else who has a shared experience. Whether that sparks into love, amazing. If that sparks into friendship, even more amazing, still amazing. So any kind of connection, and it's almost like group therapy, it could just end up being like it's therapy. It's someone you can talk to. So I would say not to stress about it too much, especially if and I'm gonna sell Playdate here because with Playdate, you don't need to worry about the fact that you're a single parent and you don't need to feel shame around it because you're actually celebrated for being a single parent. So it's almost like empowering you. So it's feel empowered. I want single parents to feel empowered going into Playdate because everyone's the same, and there's more people than you think that are actually have gone through the same experience.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you one thing actually. When people think about single parents, I don't know, but it's always women that comes to mind. But what about
Mm,
um do you have I know you probably have them on your app as well, but how do they
yeah.
approach dating?
I'm so happy that you asked this question because I feel like the men are often neglected
Yeah.
when you have the single. And the reason I think that is because, and that's a very valid perception because usually, and not always, because there are a lot of cases where it's not true, but usually the children live with the mother. Like if they're both, even if there's shared custody, but usually the mother is the primary carer in the case of a custody arrangement or child arrangement. But there are some amazing single dads that actually have the children full time, and that are fantastic men and single parents. And we have actually the majority of our users are single dads. So we have, yeah, people always think, oh, you must have more single moms, but we actually have at the moment, 70% are single men, single parents, single dads, and 30% are single moms. We used to have a 60-40 split. So it used to be 60% single dads, 40% single moms, but now we're seeing more single dads come in. So actually, um, and I think the reason being is because even if they don't have the children full time,
Mhm.
single dads probably they have more free time if they don't have the sole custody of the children or have a shared arrangement where they have the kids on the weekends or on certain nights of the week. They have more time on their hands, and they're also more likely to move on quicker than women. Women tend to dwell on the emotions a bit longer than men. Men tend to move on after a relationship quicker. That's just the truth of it. And they're probably on multiple dating apps as well. So they wouldn't just be on Playdate; they'd be on multiple dating apps. But yeah, there's some amazing single dads. Lots of widows that are single dads that have lost their wives and are taking full care of the children. So yeah, I think it's people always think it's just the moms, but there's loads of single dads out there and doing amazing jobs as single dads.
Yeah, I was just going to ask these questions are just coming to my head, so
Sure, sure. No, no, it's fine.
need to ask. So, in terms of, you know, coming from a cultural ethnic background, I know that some of the women I know, they don't want to go on dating apps. I don't know whether you guys keep records of, cultural, geographic or something like that. Would you say there was a lot of ethnic minorities, or is it a low percentage? Because I know there is a stigma within my culture going on dating
Mm.
apps, or to even say you're on a dating app.
That's a great question, but I think because we're only in the UK, we don't actually gather ethnic background information on the app. It's not something that we do gather, but we could in the future. Um, but because it's only in the UK, we're seeing primarily kind of English white people on the app. You're right. I haven't seen any kind of large mix of different ethnic backgrounds. And I think the reason being is, yes, the stigma around it, but also there are dating apps for Africans, there are dating apps for people of ethnic backgrounds, people of certain religious backgrounds. So these dating apps already exist as well. So they may be on those more kind of either faith niche dating apps, or maybe yeah, kind of like geographic, where you're from, that kind of thing. So those dating apps do exist, but that's a good question. And I think as we grow, the plan is for Playdate to become a global dating app. For me, Africa would probably be not really high on my list of next markets because of the cultural.
Yeah,
There's a lot of education that needs to go into those
definitely.
markets. Like in Egypt, it would not do well at all. Like in Egypt, there's no way. And because it's such a, I don't know about Nigeria, but in Egypt, society is very small and everybody knows everybody. So everyone would be talking and gossiping and like, oh my God, she got divorced and she's on a dating app. And there's so much shame and stigma. It's terrible. And people would be calling each other, oh, did you see who just got divorced? And she's already on a dating app. And it's just, yeah, it's just very, very yeah, not really a great culture that doesn't really embrace, yeah, dating apps. That's for sure. But because we're only in the UK for now, no, I think probably 95% are kind of English white people that are using the app.
Okay. So looking back, what is one thing you wished you knew before starting this journey?
That it's so hard. that it's that it's this hard. That it's this hard. That it's this bloody hard. Yeah. It's I think my first business, because it was very different, because it was kind of what I took my expertise of 15 years and started my own marketing agency. So I was kind of like on autopilot, doing the thing that I knew how to do, and people paying me for it. It was a very different experience, and I didn't need to fundraise. It was a profitable business. I bootstrapped it completely, and it was a very organic transition for me. This was like I'm throwing myself into the deep end of something I have no idea how to do, and I have no idea how it's going to turn out. And there's constant challenges, and as you grow as well, there's so many different things you have to think about. You're creating a culture, you're creating a business, you're growing a team. It's not just about the technical part of creating the physical app. It's also about managing people, making big decisions. It's hard. It's hard, and it's all consuming. But I'm so passionate about it and so driven and determined, because I feel like this is my purpose to kind of serve single parents globally. I really feel like this has been my calling. I know that sounds very woo woo, but I truly believe it. So it's like I will give it all my sweat, blood, and tears, and I will continue to do so until I see it in every corner of the globe, helping single parents feel empowered. But one thing I wish I knew, that it would be so, so hard. Like it's not for the faint-hearted. It really isn't.
Yeah. We're coming towards the end of our questions, but I wanted to ask you, what's your 3 non-negotiables in terms of values, your values?
Oh, good one. Oh, okay. Integrity. Integrity. Transparency, like being completely transparent, and authenticity. I think if we show up authentically, and I expect people to show up authentically as well. I think those were kind of my three non-negotiables. So integrity, transparency, and authenticity. I never actually thought of that. I'm going to write those down. Those are good.
Yeah.
I've never really thought about that. And I would say it would be the same values in business and in relationships.
Yes.
Actually. So yeah, if anyone is listening and wants a date, those are my 3 non-negotiables.
And I just wanted to ask you, if people wanted to find you, they wanted to know a little bit more about your business and app, what are your handles?
Thank you, Faith. So yeah, you can find us on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok. So the handle is Go to Playdate. So GOTO Playdate. And you can also find me on LinkedIn, and you can connect with me. I'm happy to speak to anyone who's a single parent or wants to just chat about navigating dating or navigating life as a single parent. I'm here to with open arms and ears to help chat to anyone. Happy to give my time to single parents.
Thank you so, so much. I am so grateful for this conversation. And I wish you all the success in your dating app. I think it's fantastic. And I know that it's going to do well. You know,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I will say to myself and other people, I interviewed that lady. Look, she's famous now.
Oh,
So
that's so
great.
kind.
Thank you for giving me the time.
No
And
problem.
because I know time is precious for all of us. So I'm really, really grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the platform to tell my story and to share my learnings. I really appreciate your time as well, Faith. Thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome.